She and I dated for a while. We were engaged.
I've had the dog since I purchased him.
I would take him for 5-6 walks a day.
I have a court order saying that Patrick
that
cannot be around.
Well, she liked the dog as much as I did. I love the dog.
That's completely unreasonable.
If you want to fight, I can get you boxing gloves, but we're not here for that. My first case ever with worms.
Come here, Sophie. Get him, Rusty.
Can I say something?
No. If she hadn't had an oral agreement, how do you do? You're claiming that this dog belongs to you?
Yeah, that is correct.
When did you purchase the dog?
Back in July of '97, July 23rd.
What'd you pay for it?
$500, $4.99.
It's close to 500, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you pay for the whole thing?
I paid for 348 plus. I paid for $399.
How much did you pay for part of it?
It's a long story, Your Honor, but what I'm going to say...
Give me the short version.
Okay, the short version is the account was in my name. I opened up the checking account at my bank that I had previous for 4 years to help him build his credit. We only were going out for a short time.
You have a purchase agreement?
Yes, it's right here.
Thank you.
Okay. And Your Honor, he wasn't working at the time. I was having him live with me in my house, in my yard, with my other dog. I did buy the dog with both of us. We were together. He was there. But that was my money.
Well, the contract has both your names on it.
Right, right. And the check that he has, because I just opened the account.
Your Honor.
You have a canceled check?
Yeah, the canceled check, and then I
names.
have the canceled check. That's
All right.
that's the original. That's the original check from the new opened account, and then I have the following checks after the account was made out.
He couldn't have a checking account.
That's not true, Cheryl. I had a checking account.
He needed me to open
I opened up a checking account because
I can't hear both of you at the same time, and please don't do it.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. He lived in San Juan Capistrano. When he moved to Huntington Beach, I opened up the checking account at the bank that I've had a checking account for 4 years.
But he could write checks on the account.
Yes.
She couldn't.
Yes.
Okay.
No, both of us. It was in both of our names, and then I took my name off of the account a few weeks later. As you can see, it was 01, and there was no names on top of that first check. Those are the temporary checks they give you.
That's
right. He is showing you the checks that he got through the bank later on after I had taken my name off. Your Honor.
When did you get the dog? When did you get the dog?
I've had the dog since I purchased him. Yes.
All right. You've handed me a letter from a person named Craig Kauer.
Yes.
K-A-U-E-R?
Yes.
Sir, this man says that during this year that the defendant's had the dog, you've taken the dog a couple of times over to your place to live.
That's true. A lot more than...
How many times?
For months at a time.
Why did you bring the dog back?
Because I was living with my sister in Pasadena, and she has 10 cats. And I didn't have an apartment yet.
You have an apartment now?
Yes, I do.
So now you want the dog?
Well, Cheryl and I had agreed that she and I would both take care of the dog. It was kind of a visitation kind of deal. And once I got an apartment, she would give me the dog back.
Why did she have the dog for a year?
She didn't have the dog for a year.
Well, other than these visits, she had the dog for a year.
Well, no, I'd have the dog for a month or two, then she'd have the dog for a couple days or a couple weeks. Then I had to leave town a couple times to go to work. She would take care of the dog. She agreed to that.
Your Honor?
Did you ask her to take care of the dog?
Yes, I did. And
Why?
She agreed. Well, because she liked the dog as much as I did.
Okay.
I love the dog.
Did you want to get back with her?
In the very beginning, yeah, but we broke up.
Is that why you came over and got the dog?
Pardon me?
That's what this fellow says. He says you came over just to try to get Cheryl to come back to you.
No, that's not true.
That's a lie.
Why
And I gave you...
Why did you wait so long to try and get the dog back, sir?
Well, it's not a question of waiting so long. I mean, I would have the dog. I would have the dog for periods of time, and then I would say, hey, Cheryl, you want to see Basil for a while? She would say, okay, and she would take care of the dog. She had a place that I trusted Cheryl to take care of the dog, and living in a house with 10 cats that my sister has, it wasn't really the greatest place in the world for the dog. I have a place in Balboa now. I'm allowed to take the dog onto the beach. He's got a great place to run around. When I had the dog up in Pasadena, when I had Basil up in Pasadena, I would take him for 5-6 walks a day.
Did you ever take the dog to a vet?
Did I ever take the dog to a vet?
Yes.
With Cheryl on those receipts.
No, he never did.
Well, take a
Your
look at the
Honor,
dates on the
I
receipts.
also have to
Your
point
Honor,
out,
I moved in with Cheryl. I didn't lose my apartment. She asked me to move in.
you lost
started-
your job, Patrick.
I lost my.
I don't want you to interrupt any
I'm
more than I
sorry.
want him to.
All right. I started dating Cheryl in April, end of April. May, June we got engaged. July, some medical problems happened with me. She saw me going through depression, so she said, "Would you like the dog?" I used to go and visit the dogs right next to her where she worked. She said, "Would you like the dog?" Because I used to play with the dog every day when I'd go and pick Cheryl up from work. After about a week, she said, "Would you like the dog?" I said, "Sure." So we went and we filled out all the paperwork and everything. She had $120 on her. I had $50 in cash, and the remainder I wrote out of a check, out of my checking account. I love
That
that
is
dog.
not true.
I love that dog to pieces, and I want him back. She bought the dog. She was going to buy the dog for me as a gift, but she didn't have
Your
enough
Honor,
money.
I have a court order saying that
That
Patrick
shouldn't
cannot be
be-
around me.
Wait a minute.
No,
I
that
had
was
to-
something that
Wait
was
a minute,
passed out.
sir.
He was harassing me so much about the dog, okay? He was. I told him after like third time that he had taken him, there was an occasion where he got arrested in the evening. He had Basil with him. He would leave him in the car while he went bar hopping. He got arrested, and Basil ended up at somebody's house in San Juan Capistrano. It took me a weekend to find him. He had called me up and said, "You got to get me out. This is the second time."
That's not
I said,
true.
"I'm not going to help you. Where's Basil?" And he
Were
wouldn't
you in
tell
jail?
me where Basil was.
Yeah, I was arrested for
Did you-
I was arrested, but the charges were dropped against me, and
No.
that shouldn't even be brought up.
No.
What did
Anyways,
you say you had a court order about?
I have a paperwork right here I'd like you to see.
Sir, she's handed me what is called a stipulation and order in which you make certain statements, and you signed it, apparently. Did you sign this, sir?
Yes, I signed that.
It says that,
That was-
in effect, that you're not going to do the things that she alleged that you had been doing.
Well, there's a lot more to it, and it's really difficult to get the point across. But she and I went to court, and we both agreed with the judge that we needed a timeout. I was never charged with any of that stuff. It was an agreement, a verbal agreement, and a written agreement.
Irrespective of that, you agreed to this restraining order, didn't you?
Well, it's not really it's not a
Don't
court.
tell me what it is, sir. I
Well,
sat on the
well,
Superior Court for
okay.
18 years.
All right. Well, then it is, I guess.
You
We're
don't
getting
guess.
way- we're getting way off.
Take my word for it.
Okay, we're getting way off the base here. She and I.
That's what you say,
Well,
but I don't think we are.
she and I dated for a while. We were engaged. I came down with a pretty bad sickness, and I went through pretty bad depression. She invited me into her house before all this happened. I used to go over and visit this dog that was right next to the pet store. It happens to be Basil. I fell in love with the dog. She said, "Do you want the dog? It's yours. Take it." Like that. She didn't have enough money. She didn't have enough money to buy the dog. I paid for the dog.
You
okay?
filed a small claims court action after you were served with a temporary restraining order, didn't you?
That's not true. No. What's the?
The dates don't lie, sir. The dates don't lie. You filed this on the 30th.
This is really making me out to be some bad guy that I'm not.
I'm not trying to make you out to be anything.
Cheryl and I were getting along really well. We broke up. She couldn't deal with the problems that were going on and everything like that. I moved out. She was taking care of the dog. I was taking care of the dog. I was living at my sister's house that has 10 cats.
12 cats or 10
cats,
cats.
whatever.
Pardon me.
Anyway, back in March, for example,
seemed
she
like
says,
12 to me.
Well, she seems like she's making it out like we didn't do anything.
Okay, I've heard enough from both of you. I'm not going to take a recess. I'm going to give you my decision right now.
Okay.
First of all, the dog, Basil, is a very well-behaved, beautiful dog. Been taken care of by the defendant for the past year. If you don't interrupt me, sir, please. Please don't. Several times the plaintiff has had the dog, sort of like visitation rights, I suppose. But we had a love affair apparently that went sour, and now it's like a divorce case, and the property is being divided, but the dog can't be cut in two. So one person has to get the dog, and the other won't have the dog. The plaintiff is asking for the return of the dog. At issue here really, and basically, is the credibility of the parties who are testifying. We have a stipulation for a restraining order, stipulation and judgment, which the plaintiff says isn't so, except that he signed it, he agreed to it. As far as I'm concerned, the defendant is more credible than the plaintiff is, and I think the dog rightfully belongs to her. The judgment is for the defendant.
I'm not going to be able to see Basil anymore. He's my friend, and he helped me out a lot when I was going through my troubles. And now it's over. And I can't see him, and I'll never be able to see him again. This is my last goodbye to him. And it's just, I never took anything back that I ever gave Cheryl, and she gave me the greatest thing in the whole world, and now she's taking him back, and she just went against her word.
I'm happy for Basil. I'm happy for myself because Basil's in better care with me. Patrick's not stable and doesn't have a good place.
Please don't add insult to injury, please.
No. So anyways, I'm really happy because
my
I love animals. I love this dog, and that's the thing that I always just want him to be happy.
Cheryl, you're breaking my heart right now, all right?
Once the steer is sold, it has to be killed.
That I didn't purchase any steer and had nothing to do with any steer.
Gave the instructions on how the steer was to be cut.
I didn't buy any steer. I don't eat red meat.
The Animal Court is now in session. The Honorable Joseph A. Wapner, Judge presiding.
I know you've all been sworn. I have read your complaint, ma'am. You had an auction that you conducted?
I am a board member for the 46th Agricultural District, and we have a junior livestock show in which 4-H and FFA members raise animals, and at the end of the fair, we have a junior livestock auction.
Okay.
And this particular steer was the grand champion, and it was sold, and payment has never been received.
Who bid on it?
Mr. Showalter bid on it for By Right Concrete, which is owned by Mr. Oakes.
By Right Concrete?
And
is that what he? Wait a minute. Is that what he told you? Or he told the association?
There's a buyer's card that's filled out that later I'd like to give your Honor, showing that.
Let me see the card.
Thank you.
Are you Mr. Showalter?
I'm Mr. Showalter.
You're the one that bid on it, sir?
Yes, I am.
And you were bidding for By Right Ready Mix?
Yes, I was.
And you informed them by filling out this form that that's what you were doing?
Yes.
Did you have authority to do that?
No.
You didn't give them authority to
No.
bid for you?
No.
Why did you do it, sir?
Well, I hadn't had authority at that time. Earlier in the year, I'd talked to him about sponsoring this and on Ms. Thrall's 4-H calf. And he said, sure, we'll talk about it later. And so I was assuming that, yes, it was going to be all right.
Assuming?
And, yes.
You know that that's the worst word in the English dictionary?
I'm finding that out, Your Honor.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I raised the calf. I owned the calf before it was sold through the auction. I was the previous July when the fair was held in July. I had thought I'd found a buyer, and then we had double checked to see if we did in fact have a buyer before I bought the steer, because I brought the steer out of Canada to try to get the best quality steer I could to try to win the show, because I had a buyer. And so then,
how did you know you had a buyer?
I had talked to Mr. Showalter, and he said he had a buyer for me.
we also have a cutting instructions at the freezer locker in which Mr. Oakes called and gave the instructions on how the steer was to be cut.
From Shamrock Meatpacking, which is who killed the steer, and was returned to Norco Locker, who cuts and wraps the steer. Once the steer is sold, it has to be killed.
So the steer was killed?
Yes,
slaughtered.
the steer is slaughtered. It's at Norco Lockers right now. All the meat is sitting in Norco Lockers right now.
So it's never been delivered?
No, nobody has ever taken possession of the meat.
I don't see any place here. It says by right Showalter, and then it has Showalter's name, but I don't see any place here where Mr. Oakes signed this.
No, sir.
No, it was over the telephone. I have
Who talked to him? Wait a minute. Who talked to him?
John Silva, who owns the...
Where's John
meat-
Silva?
He sent a letter, and I have two other pieces
You
of...
work for him?
Yes, I do.
You're smiling.
Well, I definitely do.
I don't have-
I'm smiling because I'm waiting for my turn to talk.
Okay, your turn to talk.
Okay, first of all, I didn't know anything about the steer. Second of all, I definitely didn't talk to anyone at Norco Meat Cutters because I didn't even know Norco Meat Cutters existed. I didn't even know that the cow was even was bought or anything until we got a bill in the mail. Buy Right Ready Mix got a bill in the mail. No one's called
What
me.
is your business? What type of business are you?
Ready Mix Concrete.
Okay, all right, you both wanted to speak.
I have a couple pictures I would like to show you.
Pictures of the steer?
Pictures of myself and the steer in the show ring is the little picture, and then the larger picture is after
I'd like
the steer had
I'd
been
like
bought.
someone to show me a picture of the steer with Mr. Oakes. That's what I want.
Judge Wapner?
Yes,
At
ma'am.
all of these, at the auctions, if you've been to any of the junior livestock auctions that they have, whether it be Los Angeles County Fair, there is lots of people, and they come in and they sign bidding for other people. We hold bids all the time for people to come in. We have no way of knowing. I mean, we've known Mr. Showalter for years. And as you said, assume was a big word, that his word was good, that he was buying from Mr. Oakes. Donna called him before she bought the steer, brought it in from Canada, and said, "Do I have this buyer?" "Yes, you do." He got her the address. She wrote him a steer a month before the sale.
Can you sell this steer now to anyone else?
It's cut and wrapped. It would be almost impossible.
Why?
Because it's cut and wrapped to their instructions, not to my instructions
I know,
or yours.
but if I were a meat eater, wouldn't I want to buy it?
Not necessarily, because the cuts of meat are cut different ways. You may want more hamburger meat or more, maybe a thicker steak.
But there's always someone that might want it the
Your
same
Honor,
way.
this was the grand champion steer. It sold for almost $4,000.
What's the fair market value today?
Today, I don't know, probably 60, 70 cents is what a steer market is
What's
today.
the full? What is it? The full amount of the steer? What is it worth today? As cut up as it is now, it's
Very
being
little.
held.
Very little. It's
been
if
in
we
the
could get it,
locker.
we could probably get, if we could find somebody to buy it, because there's still a $300 bill owing against it at Norco Lockers for his services.
This might sound like a fishy story, but I was only eating fish at the time. I wasn't eating any red meat. And what would I do with the red meat? I'd give it away, maybe, but I didn't buy any steer. I don't eat red meat, and I've never talked to
Mr.
these people.
Showalter, why would a ready mix company want to buy a steer?
Just for the advertisement, for the publicity, for the
What is your position with his company? What do you do?
I manage the rock and sand operation.
We'll take a short recess. I'll come back and give you my decision.
Remain seated and come to order. This court is again in session.
Because I'm going to make a judgment that I think is fair and equitable, I looked at one of the documents there that said the steer weighed 1,235 pounds. Is that correct? And you said something about the fact that probably fair market value today would be 62, 63 cents a pound?
Yes, sir. You know what, I don't know, but that's.
Well, I mean, you're giving me a rough
Right.
figure. Okay. We have here an agency problem. Mr. Showalter represented himself as being Mr. Oak's agent. He's bidding for him, he said. In fact, Mr. Oak says that he wasn't. He had no authority whatsoever. Now, there's such a thing as real authority, and there's such a thing as ostensible authority. Did Mr. Oakes, by letting Mr. Showalter, was his job such that he allowed him to represent to you that he represented him? He didn't do anything to do that. He wasn't his PR man. He wasn't his tax lawyer who was trying to get him a deduction or something, and he represented to you that he had actual authority to do it. So there's no actual authority, there's no ostensible authority. But since Mr. Showalter did say that he had, he personally is liable. There's also a storage charge, as I understand it, $300? Okay. What I'm going to do is award you the $3,396 plus the $300 storage, less 60 cents a pound for the steer. So you can sell it at 60 cents a pound. Any more than that, you can make a little money. If not, you're getting the bulk of the money plus less what it's going to take to sell the steer. So $3,696 less $741, judgment for plaintiff for $2,955, and she keeps, or the association keeps, the meat.
We try to make sure that our young people get as much as they can because they put a huge amount of money, a huge amount of work into grooming these animals, and especially when it's a grand champion, this should be really an exciting time.
I own them for about 11 months. I have to halter break them and gentle them down, basically make them act like they're dogs. And then go and rinse them down every day, brush their hair up, and get them suitable for a show.
I didn't understand that it was the young people raising the cattle, and I'm sure that if someone personally would have called me personally and explained to me even after the fact, even the fact I didn't know anything about the purchase of the cow, I'm sure that I would have talked to the other members of the company and that we would have worked something out with them. So I kind of look forward to maybe participating myself next year.
I'll be happy to give you the information. It's not a problem. We'd love to have you at the fair.